because
What are some statistics that would lead people to believe that?
well, like give a very simple example. You look up in the star at night, you see about 3,000 stars, right? And most people say, they don't know they count them. I'm filled with stupid statistics, so I know roughly how many you see in the sky.
Yeah.
If you're up in Julian, where I like to go, you can see more than 3,000. But you only see a small microcosm what's really out there. There, to give you an example, I think it was the University of Hawaii did a study. It's kind of stupid. It's like how many grains of sand are there on the planet Earth?
Yeah.
Now, if you went around to the beach and everywhere and you drilled holes with a drill, you picked every little piece of grain of sand you could get. That's a lot of grains of sand, right? And you say, well,
I mean, it's minuscule, You can, you could crush a grain of sand almost,
Well, I can't even fathom. I don't think I could fathom how to count, all these grains of sand. Well, the point I'm trying to make here is that the grains of sand, there's more stars. They've calculated that there are like 100 times more stars in the known universe than there are grains of sand. Okay?
That's incredible.
So I can't even count the grains of sand, let alone how many stars we're talking about here. Okay, so not to bore you on this, but you think every little star, a lot of people don't know that stars are suns.
Yeah, I didn't know it for a long time.
I wouldn't tell people on television that.
The thing about me is I'm shameless.
Oh, God. What the point? Okay. See, science in America, isn't it wonderful?
Yeah.
I have a little picture at work that says everybody wants to go to Europe, and it's actually a diagram of Africa, All Americans want to go to Europe. So the point I'm trying to get back into science here is that there's just so many stars, right? And years ago, people didn't even want to believe that the Earth revolved around the sun. As a matter of fact, some people went to jail for that.
Who was that?
Galileo, you know who he is?
Heard of him.
Yeah, you studied your science, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Well, Galileo, back in 1610, he was looking at the first telescopes, and he said, wow, they had this idea that the Earth had to be the center because the Catholic Church believed that they were the center.
Yeah, and we're all egomaniacs, Some of us, the world does revolve around us still.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So what happened back then was that the church said, the Inquisition, when they said, Galileo, you can say it's a hypothesis, but don't go around saying that the Earth goes around the sun because we got plans for you, my friend. So he said, okay. And he did some analysis and kept coming back with the same results. The Earth goes around the sun, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So he decided to tell the truth rather than lie with the system.
You think that'd be the right thing to do?
Well, people get died all the time, get thrown in jail, tortured, shackled, The truth is not an easy thing.
What happened to Galileo?
Well, they gave him house arrest for the rest of his life. I mean, they said, they gave him one chance and he thought about it and they gave him the second chance, and then the church, the Inquisition, threw him in house arrest. They were going to kill him, cut him up, put him in little pieces, but they figured since he's a famous scientist, they'd just send him into his house, could never leave again. He was under house arrest by the Roman Church. But they were kind of kind. They thought about it. It took them about, I don't know, 300 or 400 years, and then Pope John Paul II apologized.
Jeez.
I think he apologized around 2000.
Around 2000, they're apologizing for discovering that the Earth went around the sun and not the other way around.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny. Pope John Paul II actually decided to apologize for 2,000 years of atrocities. He went and said Galileo was just one of them, for all the things. Well, the church is done. I mean, I'm not here to beat up on the church, or religion, and I've done a little bit of that, and I know there's a lot of great people in the church.
For sure.
But it doesn't matter what religion it is. People, if they believe one thing and they believe it to be the truth, and they're not willing to keep an open mind, they're willing to oppress other people because they believe that this was hearsay, that he was the devil incarnate.
Yeah. It
So
questions what they believe, and it ruins their whole realm.
So the church isn't doing that anymore. I appreciate that because at least I can walk around town freely. But so when you look at like those theories, and people didn't want to believe that the Earth went around the sun, and later on people said, oh, there's no thing as planets. There's only planets in our solar system, and nobody thought that they would be able to start finding planets outside of our solar system. But in the last 15 years, they're finding hundreds of planets all over all kinds of suns.
Yeah.
Planets with water, all kinds of stuff. So when people say, well, we got planets now, does that mean that they're going to have life? Well, let's get real. Of course they're going to have life somewhere. We'd have to be really arrogant to think that out of the 80 billion galaxies, you know what a galaxy is, by the way?
A galaxy, I know a little bit, and here's where I don't care, and I'm gonna be shameless and pretend like I know something. A galaxy is made up of solar systems, correct? And,
A lot of stars, like for example, the Milky Way. We always talk about the Milky Way. It's a spiral galaxy, with tons of stars and things like that. And what happens is, if you look at the universe, right? They talk about how the universe was created with the Big Bang. This is just mind-boggling. Everything was like in a singularity, and it exploded and expanded, and it created space and time and everything out of nothingness. And the galaxy of the Milky Way galaxy is this like big blob in the sky just floating around. There's all these other big blobs all over the place.
how many stars are just in our galaxy?
Oh, I don't know offhand, but I know there's 10 to the 22 roughly, around 70. It's called sextillion. It's an interesting word, but it's like 70 sextillion stars out there. Some people have calculated like 10 to the 22, which is like like a 1 with 22 zeros. It's pretty big.
Yeah.
That's for the whole universe, and I think we're just one of 80 billion. So you divide that by 80 billion.
Jeez.
That'll be your answer. But it's a lot of stars, let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's incredible. Each one has the potential to have planets around them.
Sure. So, but a lot of people will say, like I said, like I write my science fiction, it's fiction, I write about aliens and all kinds of stuff, and I try to throw philosophy because science fiction is really not about just the science. It's really about humanity and how you treat people and things that go on. If you look at all the best sci-fi stories, there's a human component to it.
Oh, for sure.
And but when I think of like aliens, like real aliens, not the aliens in my book, although sometimes I think that they're real because I wrote about them.
If you dream it.
Yeah, it's possible, but when you start thinking of like real aliens, you have to say, how can they get the facts? How can they get from point A to point B, which is pretty far. Like they talk a light year. Everybody goes, oh, they went 5 light years, 100 light years. You hear these words, but a lot of people don't know that light is the speed of light is 186,282 miles per second. Okay, that's pretty fast. You're going pretty fast in 1 second, and then you got to take that for 60 seconds for a minute. So when you look at, like, say it's something's like 5 light years away, that's pretty far. These distances are unbelievable. So to have like the ability for an intelligent life to get here, you'd have to say that's virtually impossible. But like if I pick up my cell phone, like 100 years ago, and I said I was going to pick up a stone, and I was going to make a phone call on the stone, and I was going to call somebody at the other end of the earth, you'd say I was nuts.
Yeah.
You'd be like, what? You're going to pick up a stone and call somebody like 12,000 miles away?
Yeah, technology is all relative.
So some writers have said that technology is like magic to people who don't have the same level of technology. It's indistinguishable from magic, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if I pick up a stone in like the 1700s, because what's a cell phone look like? No more than a stone. I'm sitting here and I make a call. That's like magic.
Oh, for sure.
So these distances, even though they may sound mind-boggling, right now, who's to say we couldn't find some weird technology that's going to go boom, bang, and you're going to go from point A to point B?
Oh, it's not impossible by any means. I mean, they're just studying that right now in Geneva and stuff, aren't they?
Geneva? About what?
In Geneva with the trying to.
Oh, the particle accelerator that they're
Yeah.
bombing. They're finding all kinds of weird stuff. There's faster than light travel with some weird particles that they can split across, and you can take a particle that's like over here and over there, and by doing something to the particle over here, instantaneously the other particle will change its spin, which is like faster than light communication, which people don't understand. I mean, the truth of the matter is most scientists say that they understand something. They don't. Yeah. They have an idea that this formula works for now, and then later on, like Einstein says, oh, no, that's not true. Time is not relative. Time is all screwed up, and, and it's got relativity, what they call the Lorentz transformations that basically uses the dilation effects of time. I mean, we live in time where everything looks normal right now. Everything's at like, the same. Your time and my time's the same. But I write about this in science fiction, and it's science fact. If you go to the moon and you come back, the person who's gone to the moon and comes back and has a twin brother, their watches are different.
I can see that. Well, beyond that even, too, like, has anybody ever, I know you mentioned Truman saying, UFOs are real. Has anybody else in the government come out or thought about coming out? And anything?
It's all over the place. I mean, but you have to say who's telling the truth and who's not, okay? Astronauts. I mean, like, people should really just go out and read about this stuff. Don't believe everything you read. Like, I always have the joke that I say that, you got to have an open mind. But you don't want your mind so open that when the wind blows, your head whistles, okay?